In a situation like, for example, in a college, is to have a group that you can, you're together, you know each other, and you work together, like we did. Even the first summer that we were there, we'd study together, and statistic professor would come and he'd do work with us and help us. And I understood some of the women that had no husband at home that were raising children, and it was very hard when they couldn't continue. But if you got someone that you have to have, and aside from that, you have to have. It's a good thing in a situation like, for example, in a college, is to have a group that you can, you're together, you know each other, and you work together, like we did. Even the first summer that we were there, we'd study together, and statistic professor would come and he'd do work with us and help us. And so we were all together. So that helped a lot, to continue and not lose your. And I said, I always tell them my experience with the English class. When you go in there and here you're in the middle of this 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and here's this old woman, and you have to get up there and have to say, you have to write a poem or say a poem in front of all of them. But Dr. Mahaffey, he started I think he had some kind of, it's a big thing at Linfield that about English and poetry and stuff like that. And he was a lot of help, He'd be there and joking and trying to help. So that helped me out. And I always thought, but as I said, the opportunity was given to a lot of people, but it wasn't the VML or anyone's fault that a lot more people didn't take the advantage of doing something, not just going to college, but there was other opportunities. As I said, these ladies, some of them went and got worked for years at Diana's, because they got their jobs because VML came and got those jobs for them.
So when your children were growing up and they were sometimes moving from place to place, and I assume changing schools now and then, and working alongside you, was it hard for them to adjust to a permanent lifestyle, or was it something they embraced and they enjoyed?
When my children never missed a day of school, I'll tell you this. We moved from Texas in the summer, so school was out. In April, when we moved from California, they went to school all day, and we left California at 5 in the evening. So they had gone to school that day, and that was the weekend. That was a Friday. We got to California on about 1:30 or so in the evening. To Oregon. To Washington. About 1:30 in the afternoon. I would think it was on a Saturday. And right away, there was this man that was there in the camp, giving you the cabins that you were going to use, and that right away I said, where does the school bus stop by here to take your children to school? And he looks at me and he said, you might be the only one, because most of the women's got their kids running around the camp not doing it. And I said, no, my kids have to go to school on Monday. And they did. They went to school, and they ended the which was April and May. They went to school there and ended the school year, because we came back here at the end of the 4th of July, so school was out at that time. So I don't think they ever had I don't think they had problems of adjusting, because they weren't ever out of school that much, And they weren't in one school very long either. because it was that short times. And I'll give you an example. My son George, which is the second to the oldest, he was born the 1st of September, and he's the only one that graduated at 17 because, and we traveled, and he was the driver, and he did miss one grade of school, so that's an example I'll give you that he went he finished high school, and he was 17, and in June he was his graduation, and he didn't turn 18 till September, so that's why I say that's it. And most of my children didn't have too many problems. Of course, some of them were a little, but with a little help and they caught up, but they didn't have many problems as I could see. And I'll tell you another story that the oldest ones didn't know one word of English when they went to school. That was my son Joaquin and George and Elias and Elizabeth and Armando and Marta. Except for the three youngest ones. The three youngest ones, they were going from daycare to, because I was in school already, that they picked up English. But the six oldest ones, when they started school, they didn't know one word of it. But they didn't have, as I can say, many problems that I can say, especially of adjusting and making friends and things. They still have friends here that they make, in the school. But of course, they were the youngest ones were, their friends were here because they when we arrived, my youngest turned a year old. We arrived the 4th of July, so she turned a year old in the 6th of July. And then the other one was 2, and the other one was 4 when we arrived here in Oregon. So I tell them they're Oregonians because they grew up here, So I can't be I can't say that about this. I hear a lot of children adjusting, and they don't study, they don't do this, they don't make good grades, or they don't because of moving from school to school. But as I say, I can't say that I can say that I know of that, because my children just went to California they got there they left in the summer, as I said, Texas, and then they were there. They just went to school from a few months, and then over here at the end of the year. So as I say, I can't say if it was hard for them to adjust or not, because I know they came back and they had all made friends in school. They never complained, so I don't know.
Well, Isabel, I think our tape is about to run up, so we'll probably end this session, but I'd like to get another interview with you sometime in the near future, if that's possible. And I kind of got your story, which I really wanted to get, and then in the next interview we'll probably be a little more detailed about the Valley Migrant League and people and places and things like that. Maybe talk about John Little or Ruben Contreras, and I think that would probably be a whole nother tape. So
yeah. Well, whatever, if you whatever.
Let's see.
Fine with me.
Let me try to stop this tape.